All right, we'll take up file item 1, SB9 first, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Chair and members. I'm going to be presenting first item 1, which is SB9. We are taking our committee's amendments on this bill. Last year, the legislature passed landmark legislation establishing a cap-and-trade framework, set aside a portion of funding specifically for transit and intercity rail capital programs. This bill, SB 9, seeks to ensure that the cap-and-trade funding is invested responsibly in projects that maximize greenhouse gas reductions and meets the goals of AB 32 by focusing the program on large transformative projects. Getting people out of their car into public transit makes the most sense, about which we should invest our cap-and-trade dollars. The transportation-related greenhouse gas from transportation account for 40% of all emissions. These types of projects are require a multi-year effort, and require a level of financial certainty for our operators to plan. The bill allows for multi-year funding agreements to address this issue. In addition, the bill now sets aside 10% of the funding to go towards smaller projects, includes bus operators and projects as eligible applicants. I request an aye vote. We have witnesses too. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Kurt Evans, and I'm with the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority, and we're supporting SB 9. Let's say that you're a transit operator in California, and you have a light rail extension project with a total cost of $800 million. You have a substantial amount of local dollars dedicated to the project that it's part of a program that's been approved by more than 2/3 of your voters, and you're looking for $200 million in cap-and-trade funding to get you over the finish line so that your project can be built. And you don't need that $200 million all at once. In fact, something like $40 million a year spread over 5 years would probably work for your project. You have the data that shows that your project would really, really, really move the needle when it comes to reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And the reason for that is you're substantially building capacity on your transit system that would allow for a major mode shift to occur from solo driving to public transit. So you've got a really good candidate for cap-and-trade funding. So you take a look at the investment framework that was put in place by SB 862, and you quickly realize that you have no place to go. There's no program under that framework that would accommodate a large transit expansion project that is looking for a sizable chunk of funding to be spread to them over multiple fiscal years. Enter SB 9. What SB 9 does is it allows CalSTA, which oversees this program, to program, commit, and allocate funding over multiple fiscal years, thereby opening up an avenue for a transit agency to pursue a larger transit expansion project for funding under this program. At the same time, by allowing these projects to compete under this program, it provides CalSTA with the opportunity to maximize the reductions of greenhouse gas emissions that you could achieve under the program. So respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Witnesses in support?
You can just start talking there.
Chris Rosa, representing the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, in support.
All right, just others, just state your name, organization, and that you're in support of the bill.
Yes, thank you. Roxanne Miller, representing the Mayor, City Council, City of San Jose, in strong support. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anybody else in support?
Mr. Vice Chair, our position is somewhat nuanced, if I may. I'm David Schoenbrunn with the Train Riders Association of California. And TRAC agrees that transformative projects are exactly what is needed now, that cap and trade funding should go there. So we support the basic direction of the bill, which is why I'm speaking in this portion of comment. However, we see problems that have not yet been addressed. We think this bill is not yet ready to proceed. By greatly increasing the minimum funding amount, this bill makes the transit and intercity rail capital program a far more attractive target for the gaming of GHG calculations. There is a significant body of academic research showing that mega projects typically understate their costs and overstate the benefits. This pattern throws into question how the requirements of cap and trade can be implemented if mega projects cannot be accurately evaluated. We all want this money well spent. What's needed is a package to deter this gaming behavior, and we had some ideas. I've sent them to the chair. We haven't gotten a response yet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Anybody else in support?
Mr. Chairman and members, Michael Radigan on behalf of the Board of Supervisors of Santa Clara County in support. Thank you.
Anybody else in support? Those in opposition, come forward. Please state your name and your case.
Good afternoon again. Steve Wallach, on behalf of the Alameda Contra Costa Transit District, the Napa County Transportation Planning Agency, and the California Association for Coordinated Transportation. They have an opposed unless amended position, and it's an issue we would like to work with the senator on. And particularly, it deals with the split of the funds in the bill. Right now, it was originally 100% for over 100 million. Now it's at 90-10, so only 10% going to these smaller projects. In the Bay Area, for example, there's like about 190 kind of active transit projects, improvement projects in the Bay Area. 161 of those are under 100 million. Only the 29 projects are over 100 million. So we don't feel that the 90-10 split is an equitable split, particularly since these smaller projects tend to be bus operations, and those are the kind of the backbone of the transit system in the Bay Area, with providing over 900,000 trips each day. So we are opposed to the bill the way it is with the 90-10 split. We support the provisions in there regarding the multi-year programming. We think that is something that's necessary and needed, as well as the clarifications for transit and ferries as well. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else in opposition? Questions from the committee? Comments? Senator Bell, would you like to close?
Yeah, just a couple of responses regarding gaming the greenhouse gas emission situation. The Air Quality Board is set up a research group or a group of study to set up some consistent standards regarding air quality and how they calculate those air quality issues. So in terms of gaming the system, I think that's been taken care of by the Air Quality Board. The other thing was transit, the bus operators. I'd like to point out that 5% of the cap and trade funds go to low carbon transit operations program. So there is a separate program for them for their bus operations. And in fact, if the bus operators wanted to do the right thing, what they do is they combine their efforts and submit a joint application, a larger application, thus achieving cost savings. What happens is each bus operator submits their own applications. They can themselves, this will encourage them to consolidate their applications, which I think would save the taxpayers a lot of money if they did that. So I'm urging support for this bill. I think it will encourage larger scale rail projects, and this is a good thing for California.
Great. Desire of the committee? A motion? Motion. Clerk, call the roll.
The motion is due pass as amended and re-refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Senators Bell?
Aye.
Bell, I. Cannella?
Aye.
Cannella, I. Allen? Bates? Gaines? Aye. Gaines, I. Galgiani? Leyva? Leyva, I. McGuire? Mendoza? Roth? Aye. Roth, I. Wykowski.
It has 5 votes. We're going to place it on call. Thank you. Take your second bill.
Second bill is SB 16. Mr. Chair and members, SB 16. This is seeking to address our crumbling streets, cracking highways, and how to fix them. The state transportation system is critical to California's economic well-being as it enables us to move goods, people, and ideas around through the state. And those of us who drive share a responsibility to maintain our roads. We use the roads, we wear them down. In return, we must properly maintain them because it's cheaper than rebuilding a ruined highway or street. California faces a $59 billion backlog in deferred maintenance that will grow in absence of a solution. That's on our state highway system. My bill, SB 16, creates a much-needed temporary funding plan to address the maintenance backlog of our aging system. My bill is based on 4 principles. First, it established an equitable financing strategy. Everyone contributes their fair share for using our roads. This includes returning the late fees to the general fund for road maintenance. Secondly, my bill includes protections to ensure that the funding only goes to road maintenance. And third, it establishes efficiencies at Caltrans to ensure projects are completed on time and on budget. And finally, my bill provides funding at the state, county, and city level to address road maintenance needs at all levels. SB 16 will save the state money in the future and alleviate the need to raise even higher revenue in future years. We can pay now or we can pay a lot later. We have a long way to go, but I think everyone can agree on the needs. Let's come together and address this issue now instead of kicking the can down the road and instead of letting the problem grow and expecting someone else to resolve it later. I respectfully ask for your aye vote, and we have witnesses.
Witnesses of support?
Good morning. Good afternoon. Sorry, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Vito Chiesa. I'm a supervisor in Stanislaus County and also serving as president of the California State Association of Counties. CSAC is pleased to be here today in strong support of SB 16. We want to thank Senator Bell for his leadership on tackling this critical issue for counties, cities, and the state. SB 16 would inject much-needed new revenues into the statewide transportation network to address maintenance backlogs on local streets, roads, and state highways. SB 16's combination of ensuring that existing transportation revenue funds transportation projects and its targeted tax and fee increases strikes the right policy and fiscal balance needed to address this monumental challenge. In addition to the $59 billion in deferred maintenance on state highway system, there is an unmet need of $79 billion on the local streets and roads system. In Stanislaus County alone, we need $2 billion over the next 10 years to bring our local roads, bridges, and essential components into a state of good repair. There is no single solution to this problem. It is clear, however, that now is the time to act on these pressing needs. Research by CSAC and the League of Cities shows that failure to invest additional funds towards local system maintenance now will only increase maintenance needs in the future, to the tune of an additional $11 billion in maintenance needs. Decisive action to address these funding shortfalls now, as proposed by SB 16, will reduce future burdens on taxpayers. The local streets and road system is a critical component to the movement of people and goods in the state of California. As you have probably heard us say before, every trip, whether on bicycle or foot, transit or personal vehicle, begins and ends on a local road. The local road system provides the right-of-way to mass transit and does and will continue to play a key role in supporting active transportation modes. The local system is also critical to goods movement, farm-to-market needs, and interregional travel. SB 16 recognizes the needs of both state and local system and their mutual importance and interconnectedness by investing in both systems equally. We also support the 5-year sunset included in SB 16. It is well known that traditional sources of funding for transportation infrastructure are no longer adequate. The purchasing power of the gas tax has significantly eroded over time due to inflation, increases in the real construction material costs, and increases in vehicle fuel efficiency. The work the CTC's Technical Advisory Committee is currently undertaking to study potential replacements to the gas tax will likely inform longer-term action. As such, SB 16's short-term approach allows California to address pressing and well-documented immediate needs while still focusing on long-term efforts on a more sustainable funding practice. The robust focus group efforts conducted by the California Alliance for Jobs and Transportation California show that taxpayers and users of the transportation support spending any potential tax or fee increase across a range of options rather than generating significant revenue from just one source. By levying small increases on the gasoline and diesel excise tax and vehicle registration and license fees, SB 16 takes a balanced approach that is proven to be palatable in statewide outreach efforts. For all of these reasons, CSAC supports SB 16 and urges your aye vote on this measure today. And afterwards, I have CSAC staff Kiana Bus with me for any technical questions you might have.
All right, others in support?
Mr. Chair, Jose Mejia with the California State Council of Labor is in strong support of the measure. It's already been said earlier with many of the points that was earlier made why we stand behind this measure, but most importantly, the responsibility to be able to provide a system for the people in California to move forward back and forth and not being gridlocked. We certainly admire the vision that the Senator Bill has had with SB 16 to be able to take funding and make adequate funding from various sources so that it's not a major impact on any one source. The fact of the matter is that the construction industry, as we partner with our employers, are in desperate need of putting people back to work. There's no question about it. The construction jobs, once we build these facilities, they come and they go. But it's the economic impact that it makes when these monies go into the system to build these infrastructure systems. I ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members, Mark Watts. I'm the Interim Executive Director of Transportation California. We've sponsored Prop 42 and a number of other important measures on the ballot. Our coalition is comprised mainly or principally of major contractors, material suppliers from many districts in this state, other affiliated transportation organizations, as well as our friends in Allied Labor here. Our board is very excited about what we see emerging here in Sacramento with a strong showing of support focusing on transportation this year. Most importantly is Senator Bell's SB 16, but there are actions contemplated in other areas such as the Assembly and the Governor's call for action earlier this year. We are here in support of this measure today. I'm not going to repeat a lot of the material that's already been covered by the previous witnesses. I do want to focus a little bit in on some of the research that we were party to with Jim Arp, who's the Executive Director of the Alliance for Jobs. We've spent 2 years looking at various funding options, and the conclusion that we came to is that a small mix of different varieties of revenue sources is the way to go. The voters get it. They see that. They feel that that's a fair way to assess the future. They also understand that there's a great need out there. And so we've been happy to see how that research progressed. I'd like to conclude with just a quick observation. Some economic modeling that has been done on our behalf or shared with us shows that the projects funded by SB 16 would employ 25,000 people per year in the construction industry. And in turn, when they make expenditures at their homes, in their home communities, the activity will support another 10,000. So we see a great deal of economic activity resulting from this and a return to state coffers and local coffers as well. With that, I'll bring my presentation to a close because the rest of what I had to say has already been stated. Thank you.
Okay, great. At this point, just say your name, your organization, and your support.
Laura Parr on behalf of the City of Napa in support.
Mr. Chairman and members, Dave Ackerman representing the Associated General Contractors in support. I also represent the California Business Roundtable, who commends Senator Bell for putting this issue forth. And let's work out a deal with the Assembly so we can get something final for you to vote on. Thank you.
Michael Quigley here on behalf of the California Alliance for Jobs and Support.
Steve Baker with Aaron Reed & Associates for the Professional Engineers in California Government in support.
Tim Kremens, International Union of Operating Engineers, supporting a predictable level of funding until we figure out how we get to the next step. Thank you.
Jennifer Whiting with the League of California Cities, also in support.
Chair Member Cesar Diaz on behalf of the State Building Trades Council in support.
Michael Radigan on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, Santa Clara County in support.
Bill Higgins on behalf of the California Association of Councils of Governments in support.
Matt Robinson on behalf of the City and County of San Francisco, Office of Mayor Ed Lee. We are in support. Appreciate Senator Bill taking on this challenge.
Roxanne Miller, representing the mayor, city council, city of San Jose, in strong support, and we'd like to thank one of our senators for his leadership. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
David Jones on behalf of the city of Sacramento in strong support.
Alex Gibbs, city of Santa Ana and the city of Fowler in support.
Mina Leyva, city of Thousand Oaks in strong support.
Eddie Bernacchi on behalf of United Contractors in strong support.
RJ Cervantes with the California Trucking Association. We are currently neutral on this bill, but we do want to commend the senator and his staff for bringing this important discussion up. We look forward to working with him on expediting the return of the truck weight fees as soon as possible. So thank you.
Any others in support? Are there those in opposition? Interesting. All right, we'll bring it back to the committee. Senator Bell, we've had lots of discussions on this bill from, I think, the beginning, once you were the chair of transportation, and I certainly share your desire to do something this year. I think it's important. But, you know, today I'm not going to be able to support your bill. I'm actually going to abstain, and it's not for the typical reasons. Largely, it's because I don't think it quite goes far enough. As we've talked about, we have a great need in the state of California. And there are a few things I'd like to see. Number one, I would like to see the weight fees directed back to transportation immediately. I think it's wrong for us to ask Californians to pay more for gas or whatever when we have $1 billion a year in weight fees that can immediately go back to transportation. I know you have a 5-year plan, and we'll continue to talk about that. Also, as far as the size, I think that we've got about $8 billion in a shortfall per year on maintenance, and we got about $2 billion coming in. This will generate another $2 to $2.5 billion, but we still have a shortfall. In addition to that, we have new projects. I represent the Central Valley, and in the Central Valley, we have lots and lots of transportation needs. We need money to do that, and I think this is the time to do it. And then lastly, as we've talked about, we need to invest a lot more in our mass transit. We've got a real need in mass transit in the Central Valley, specifically the ACE train, which would take, you know, thousands and thousands of cars off the road. So I certainly appreciate where you've come so far. You've tried very hard to accommodate everyone, but it's my hope by the time this goes to the floor that we can continue to have discussions and hopefully expand the scope a little bit. So with that, any other thoughts or comments? Senator Wachowski?
I apologize for not being here. I have a question on the 5% that's for counties that will pass a new sales tax. Let me hold my hand, because this is an urgency bill. So if we pass this off the floor, it becomes effective immediately. So there are no counties that are holding sales tax measures now. And I think the earliest that they could hold an election reasonably would be November of 2016. So clarify for me, if it becomes effective immediately, CTC will be, and the taxes all go, everything happens according to Hoyle, they'll start parsing out that money immediately at a 50-50 rate with locals, or am I reading the bill wrong?
Well, I think I'll tell you.
I mean, the carrot's there. I see the carrot, but practicality, because some people are kicking back with me saying they don't like it, and I sort of did the math and said, well, the earliest would be January of 2017 if they took your bait and they pass self-tax, sales tax in their county, then they should be rewarded with 5%. I understand but I just want to mechanically, do you disagree with that?
Okay. I think the way it's structured right now is there's election cycles. Counties can put ballot measures on the ballot, or cities, whenever they choose to do so, okay? There's different types of ballot measures, different types of funding that counties can do. Say your county, Stanislaus County, is an aspiring county and has talked about it. Maybe have you attempted it in the past?
We've attempted it twice, and we're going into 16.
Okay, there he goes. He's going for 16. The money would be put in a fund, and then if counties were allowed to did pass a 2/3 vote for their ballot measure, they would be rewarded by additional funds. If there was no counties that did it that year, or if there was only one, and the California Transportation Commission had that money, it would be remanded to the regular pool, the 50-50 between state and local government, just distributed on the formula basis. You understand? So it wouldn't be, the money wouldn't just sit there until it won't be like the lottery, like the super lotto, like the money will sit there and accumulate until somebody gets the lotto ticket. It would be allowed to be remanded back to the regular fund and split out in terms of the city and the state government.
Well, I'm going to be supporting this bill, and if Senator Cannella can get another bill with $4 billion, then we'd have something going.
Well, yeah, and then the other answer to your question is we're going to try to attempt, there's right now the 20 counties that have passed half-cent or the half-cent sales tax, okay, 20 out of 58. We want to encourage other counties, and this would help us get other counties. If we get the other counties to pass the sales tax, we'd have more money for road maintenance, we'd have more money for road construction, the counties would benefit, you know, it would benefit greatly in terms of the counties. So we're trying to provide some incentive for those counties that haven't yet passed the sales tax. My county has passed, we were the first one to pass the tax. So yeah.
Our county.
Our county. Yeah,
Thank you, Mr.
Fremont. You live in
Chairman. Although
so anyway, so it's an incentive kind of model, you know, to incentivize. And I wish you well in your endeavors. You're three times lucky, they say.
That's right.
So,
Mr. Chairman, before we move on, Mr. Wolf from Howard Jarvis is in here. I believe he's either neutral or in favor. We want to let him come forward and say a few comments.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, with your indulgence, Keith Dunn and I got caught up in the Capitol, but really briefly, not taking away from Mr. Wolf's time, wanted to say that the self-help counties, which are the counties that you're talking about, are in support of this measure. We do think that this is a needed funding source. We have a deficit that's huge. We cannot carry the burden alone anymore, and we need to start identifying new resources. This is a great first step. So I appreciate you letting me sneak in. Thank you.
Mr. Wolf.
Mr. Chairman, members, indeed, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association loves new taxes. David Wolf here from HJTA. We are opposed to the bill, and Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for your indulgence and just allowing me to speak here out of order for a couple minutes. I've been dashing around the Capitol like a crazed man, like so many of us this time of year, so thank you. Members, first of all, I do want to thank the author very much for personally briefing me on this proposal a couple of weeks ago, even before it was introduced, and very thankful for the opportunity to discuss, and rightly so, I think, the myriad of transportation issues that we do have in the state of California. Members, it's worth noting there's actually a handful of different things that we do like about this proposal. We think truck weight fees going to repair roads is a far more appropriate nexus than those fees going to pay off Prop 1B transportation bond debt. And repaying general fund loans to some of these transportation programs sooner and freeing up money to be dedicated specifically to road repair, we also think represents very sound transportation policy. But that said, where does that $1 billion over these 3 years come from? And that comes from higher gas taxes. Members, we would agree, new and higher gas taxes, I should say, and we would agree, members, that there is some inequity now in how gas tax revenue is structured, and that's especially true with these alternative energy vehicles that are out there on the road right now that don't use quite as much gas. It's clear that this is probably going to have to be addressed on some level in the years and in the decade to come. However, you don't solve that problem by doubling down and increasing gas taxes and creating more inequity in a system that's already very inequitable. And so for that reason, I mean, we do oppose these new gas taxes. I mean, as it stands right now, currently we are number 2 in the amount of gas taxes in the nation. We can't justify higher taxes, and we especially can't justify higher taxes with our $110 billion state budget. It should be very possible, members, to dedicate new dedicated revenues for transportation spending just in the same way Governor Pat Brown did 50 years ago. We were a leader in infrastructure investment then, and I think we can be again if we do it the right way. That's not by imposing new gas taxes. Ask for a no vote.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the public hearing again. Senator Leyva.
I just wanted to thank Senator Bell for your thoughtful, pragmatic approach to this. And I know the packet that you gave to me, I think you gave to everyone else on the committee, was very helpful. And I think that this goes as a great first step. I agree with Senator Cannella. I would love to see more money because this does two things. It fixes our roads, but it also creates good jobs, primarily good union jobs. And that helps everybody in all of our committees, in all of our communities. So I just thank you for your leadership on this and stand in strong support. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Senator Gaines.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to thank you for bringing this forward and trying to solve our infrastructure problems. I'm not going to be able to support it because I really feel that with an improving economy and even a recent report of up to $4 billion in additional revenue coming into our state treasury, why aren't we spending tax revenue that's already coming into the treasury and prioritize that infrastructure in California is important? And we've been able to do it historically. We've obviously fallen behind, and as David indicated, we are already at the, I think second highest level of taxation in the nation. So I think there could be a reprioritization in terms of how those extra billions of dollars are coming into the Treasury to help solve this crisis. Thank you.
Move the bill.
All right, so we have a motion. Just one final comment, and I'll let you close, Senator Bell. Again, my concern, as I said, I think we've got a lot more needs, and a rational statement would be, well, we'll deal with that next. And I just think this is a big vote for everyone. This is an important bill. It's a tough bill, and I just don't know if there'll be the stomach to do another one in the future. So I think I'd like to deal with it at one time. Let's take the vote and let's move forward. So with that, you can have the last word, sir.
Yeah, I always enjoyed talking to David Wolf, and I invited him in my office to have a nice little discussion, so it was very enjoyable to me to debate the philosophy of taxes. And I'd like to point out something. It's interesting that people that said, in mostly a conservative viewpoint, is that the user should pay for the services and cost, and that's what my bill does. My bill actually taxes the automobiles for using the roads and repairing the roads, okay? And then people say, well, we shouldn't have the general fund pay for the transportation thing, so we want the truck weight fees to come back and put back into the transportation fund, which my bill does. Maybe not as fast as the vice chair would like, and we'll keep working on that, but it does do that. But I think the general fund, let's look at that. Prop 98, Proposition 2, how much money is actually there? It's actually a pretty dry well. It's actually a pretty dry well. I don't see the large magnitude of funds there that people seem to think is there. And we'll see in the May revise exactly what's available in that way. But I do think we can pay back the loans, we can transfer the weight fees, we can slightly increase the vehicle registration fees, the gasoline tax slightly, and spread the cost fairly among users of the transportation system to maintain the system, to actually put money into the system and make sure that money is only used for maintaining the system, and maintain the system in the correct way, not let it fall apart like we've already done. We kind of lost, since 1992, when we last raised the gasoline tax, a lot of money to inflation. I think this catches up. This barely catches up to inflation in terms of the gasoline tax. So it really is it's like catch up. So we're also catching up with our maintenance. But it's really strange. Once you catch up with your maintenance, once you catch up and get your maintenance in order, it's actually cheaper to maintain the roads because they're in good shape. You don't have to spend the huge amounts of money to repair and reconstruct the roads. You just simply maintain the roads. So my feeling is we got to get to that point where we're just maintaining the roads in an efficient manner on a pavement management system, and then repair those roads in an appropriate manner, and that would be actually to the benefit of the taxpayer on a long-term basis. And that's why we have to catch up, and that's why we need this bill. We need more money. According Senator Cannell, you're correct. We need more money to catch up. Let's try to get there, and once we catch up, we can keep the taxes low, because if we don't, the taxes are going to be much higher in 5 years, because the roads will continue to fall apart, and we'll be caught with a undoable situation in terms of road maintenance. That's why it's an urgency statute. We need to do this now, and we need to get this done now, or else it's going to be an untenable situation for the taxpayers of California. And I urge and I vote.
All right, we have a motion by Senator Wojciechowski. Have the secretary call the roll, please.
The motion is due pass and re-refer to the Committee on Rules. Senators Bell?
Aye.
Bell, aye. Cannella? Allen? Bates? Gaines? No. Gaines, no. Galgiani? Leyva? Aye. Leyva, aye. McGuire? Mendoza? Roth? Wojciechowski? Aye. Wojciechowski, aye.
All right, that bill has 3 votes. We'll leave it on call. Come back to
Senator Lewis here.